04, resolution to indemnify trustee Craig Dingman for criminal defense attorney expenses. Trustee Beamish?
Sure. Whereas Craig Dingman is a trustee of Bedford Charter Township, whereas on or around January 4th, 2023, Craig Dingman was charged with one count of assault and battery pursuant to MCL 750.81 by the Eaton County Prosecutor's Office, which will be prosecuted in the Calhoun County 10th District Court, case number C230025. Whereas Craig Dingman, as township trustee, may be entitled to insurance defense, and this matter has been submitted to its insurance adjuster for review. Whereas MCL 691.1408 provides that if a criminal action is commenced against an officer or employee of a governmental agency based on the conduct of the officer or employee in the course of the employment, if the employee or officer had a reasonable basis for believing that he or she was acting within the scope of his or her authority at the time of the alleged conduct, the governmental agency may pay for, engage, or furnish the services of an attorney to advise the officer or employee as to the action and to appear for and represent the officer or employee in the action. An officer or employee who has incurred legal expense after December 31st, 1975 for conduct described in this subsection may obtain reimbursement for those expenses under this subsection MCL 691.1408. Whereas MCL 691.1408 provides that a governmental agency may pay for, engage, or furnish the services of an attorney to advise an officer, employee, or volunteer of the governmental agency and to appear for and represent the officer, employee, or volunteer in connection with civil or criminal litigation or an investigation or proceeding if the litigation, investigation, or proceeding involves the officer, employee, or volunteer as a result of his or her conduct in the course of employment with or actions taken on behalf of the governmental agency, subject to the following limitations. If a claim is made or a civil action is commenced against the officer, employee, or volunteer, subsection 1 of this section governs that governmental agency's authority to pay for, engage, or furnish the services of an attorney to advise the officer, employee, or volunteer as to the claim and to appear for and represent the officer, employee, or volunteer in the action. B, if a criminal action is commenced against the officer, employee, or volunteer, subsection 2 of this section governs in the course of his role duties in an amount not to exceed $6,000. I so move.
And they'll testify on oath that they're telling the truth, and we will too. And so. Moved by Beamish, support by Hires. Discussion. Any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to scrutinize the language, in particular, whether he was in performance of his duties at the time. So I did some research looking into it, and he was here 15 minutes prior. There was a citizen redressing a grievance. I don't feel it's our decision to determine whether he's innocent or guilty, only whether he was performing within the scope of his duties. And by that fact, I feel like that's been met.
I would say the opposite, and for the exact reasons the resident said. I don't want any one of us putting our hands on anybody else, and I don't think anywhere written in any scope of duties is that statement.
I don't think that any of us, including the treasurer, were out in the parking lot at the time of the disturbance. What I think happened, and it will come out in a court case, and I look very much forward to testifying about how traumatized the people who, as they arrived at the office for that morning meeting, how traumatized we were by what we were seeing and what we were not expecting. We did not have a security guard here at the time. We did not have police officers here at the time. And basically, we ended up shutting our office. and afraid. So I think, you know, I do believe that there was work done by one of our trustees to de-escalate the situation. I think he went into the mode of his training, of his experience, and he worked outside to try to de-escalate the situation. And everyone outside will have to testify in court as well. And they'll testify on oath that they're telling the truth. And we will too. And so I'm grateful, actually. I look forward to testifying. I'm grateful. I'm gonna take a very proud vote on this and stand by a trustee who was doing what in his mind was going to work to de-escalate the situation. Because we did not know what we were about to face with about 7 angry, armed men in our offices. And that's why I will be voting a strong yes on this. That's my stand. Anybody else?
Point of clarification, there's a 2.5-minute video that you can watch before you vote on something that you haven't watched the evidence for. And in fact, you have access to the security cameras, and I'm quite sure you've watched the video.
I will stand by my statement. I will stand by my statement. Comfortable with my statement. Anybody else like to make any statement?
So I think that people get the opportunity to have feelings, like we feel. I can't tell you how Barry's feeling, I can't tell you how Craig's feeling, I can't tell you how Joni's feeling, but I can tell you how I felt that day. That was a scary day. That might not be your feeling, that was my feeling. And the amount of animosity that was felt, that we felt, the energy, that we were already afraid going into this, meaning we had hired a security guard. He wasn't here yet. We were in the process of getting the doors closed into windows. So we didn't feel comfortable. And my feelings were, I was afraid. Again, might not be yours, that's mine. Those are true feelings to me. And I wasn't in the parking lot, can't speak to that. But I do know the security guard wasn't here, I do know the police weren't here yet, and 7:30 in the morning, it was,
It was traumatizing.
yeah, it was.
We'll all testify to that. So, any other comments by board members? Any
Just
other
another point
discussion?
of clarification, I was in the office with Joyce when we watched the video together,
Which video are you referring to?
the assault.
And there is also
It would be an
previous
alleged assault.
recording of trustee Demon within the township addressing an issue with a resident within his scope of duties before he stepped outside, and that needs to be notified as well.
I think your timeline's backwards.
No,
That
he was in
happened
the
first.
building.
Well, this will all be discussed. This isn't really what we're talking about right now. So, trustee Beamish?
Call question.
Okay, so roll call.
Treasurer Miller,
No.
trustee Hires,
Yes.
trustee Beamish,
Absolutely, yes.
trustee Greenwood.
Yes.